It is mid-January here in New York, the height of winter, I would say, and every winter I can't help but think about a Greek myth, the Greek myth of Demeter and Persephone. Demeter was the goddess of agriculture, and she was just frolicking with her daughter one day, as one does, in the fields, and then the ground opened up, and Hades, the god of the underworld, came up, grabbed Persephone, and took her to the underworld. He just kidnapped her. And Demeter was so overwrought with grief that she stopped doing her job. And when she stopped doing her job, all the plants started dying. The rivers dried up. And the gods were appealing to Zeus, like, you got to do something here. The world's coming to an end. So Zeus sent a message to Hades to give Persephone back to her mother. And when Persephone came back to her mom, she was so overjoyed, and she said, wait, hold on. Did you eat anything in the underworld? Persephone was like, well, before I left, Hades offered me one pomegranate seed. She's like, did you eat it? She's like, yeah. And then Demeter was just grief-stricken, because the rule was, if you consume something from the underworld, you belong there. So, from that moment onward, the deal that was put into place that could not be broken was for half the year, Persephone would spend time with her husband, Hades, in the underworld, and for the other half of the year, she would return to her mother, Demeter. And when Persephone is with Demeter, everything grows, everything fruits. The seasons are spring, summer, and then when fall comes, it's when Demeter starts to become sad because she knows Persephone has to go back to Hades. And then, while she's with Hades, Demeter is mourning and everything sort of dies and goes to sleep. And that is where we are right now. We're in winter when everything has gone to sleep and is waiting for the spring again. Well, although the winter can mean cold weather, cabin fever, and the blues, there are a few things for me that make me so excited about this season. The main thing is behind me. It is currently citrus season. This is the time of year that citrus is at its best. This is when things like oranges, tangerines, grapefruit taste incredible. The reason is because although these things are available year-round, the colder weather where these things grow mean that the fruit can stay outside and ripen on the tree. And that produces richer flavors, sweeter fruit. Limes, lemons are available all year round, we know that. And then really, it's with the oranges. There are certain oranges that are only available right now. And this is when you should enjoy them. Oranges like Valencia oranges or blood oranges, Cara Cara oranges. I don't really see Cara Cara oranges at any other time of year, especially Valencia oranges. And some of these oranges are used, like they're suited for different things. Valencia oranges are great for marmalade, for making marmalade, but most of the oranges are great for just eating. And I have a variety of oranges here. I have just the regular navel orange, and it's at this time of year that I really splurge and I buy organic navel oranges. Look at these. These don't look like the perfect oranges. Look like, you might think, oh, those look a little not so great, but it's because they're organic, and they're not all the same size, and they're not all just perfectly orange, but they taste incredible. These right here are called Sumo oranges. They're more sort of like a mandarin or a clementine. You can just peel off the skin with your finger. I'll just do this right now and show you. These are incredibly sweet. I have one of these every night as dessert in the winter. They're so good. And these Sumo oranges, they're kind of expensive, but at certain places they go on sale. You can find them in a bag, bulk discount. So they just come apart like this, and then they just taste. It tastes like candy. It really does. It's like a Jolly Rancher. If you like citrus and you have a Sumo orange, you'll become addicted, which is not a bad thing. That's a great thing to get addicted to, citrus. Now, another thing that I do regularly during citrus season is I have freshly squeezed orange juice, 4 or 5 times a week. I taste the difference. Like if I try to make orange juice in June or July, I'm very often disappointed. I'll buy the oranges, I'll squeeze it into juice, and then I'll drink it and it's just kind of It's like meh, it's just kind of flat. But now is the time when you squeeze the oranges, you take a sip of that juice, and it is like drinking sunshine. That's what it feels like. And I like every time. So I just indulge. I make orange juice out of Navel oranges, but I also make oranges out of the Cara Cara orange. So let's do Navel oranges, the normal Navel orange. And this little tool, although it serves only one purpose, juicing citrus, it is worthy of space in my kitchen because I love it so much and I use it so often at this time of year. I usually, for something to live in my kitchen, it's got to earn its keep. And this Smeg citrus juicer, it also it looks like it's from the 50s. So even when it's just out on the counter, it's a beautiful thing. And then I don't like to waste anything. It's really good to the last drop, so I just do this. I gather the pulp and I just squeeze, and you can see how much juice comes out by just doing this part. Divine freshly squeezed orange juice almost every morning in the winter. And I think that this is the great thing about savoring these things when they're in season. So much of this stuff is available year round, but I like these restrictions, the fact that you can't get blood oranges easily or Cara Cara oranges all year round. I like that they're only available at certain times of the year, and that restriction, like Demeter and Persephone, that's why I talked about that myth. I think there's a good aspect of that. I never buy strawberries outside of June or July. I see them in the store. I don't even consider them at any other time of the year, because I think it's restricting yourself and then savoring these things when they're at the height of their flavor that makes it kind of wonderful to have orange juice just in the winter, and then to kind of be deprived of it all spring, summer, and fall, and then to look forward to it again in the winter. It's really consuming these things only when they're at their best. Okay, so you can just eat the orange, especially if it's a Sumo mandarin. You peel it and eat it. You can make orange juice. And the third and final way that I love to enjoy citrus during citrus season is doing what's called supreming an orange. Do you know what it means to supreme an orange? Well, let me tell you that for many years I traveled to Ireland to visit my friend Giggy and her husband Tony, and I stay with them, and it was just a lovely, lovely time. Giggy and I sit and knit on the sofa, and in the morning we'll cook together, make oatmeal on the aga. And one of the things she did regularly when I would visit was a little treat. She would do this to an orange. She would ask me, Rajiv, do you want an orange, darling? And I'd say, okay, and then she would be doing something, and then this orange was prepared in such a beautiful way that also heightened it, made it delicious, it made it like a luxurious thing. That's what I'm going to show you how to do right now. You need a very sharp knife. Your knife has to be super sharp. So if I'm supreming an orange, I just hone my blade. So the knife is sharp, but this steel hones it. You can't do this well with a dull knife. I have been staying with friends away from home, and I've tried to do this before, rummaging through the knife drawer, and if I can't find a good knife, I just don't do it, because it's not nice if it's not done well. Rinse the blade off. Now, second thing, when you cut fruit on a board, don't use, if you have wooden cutting boards, if you have plastic or silicone or glass cutting boards, this doesn't apply, but if you have only wooden cutting boards like I do, the wood absorbs the flavor of things like onion and garlic, and that you can taste in fruit. If you cut that fruit on a board that's previously had onions or garlic on it, it really spoils the flavor of the fruit. So I don't do that. Like I've done it by accident before many times, and I'm like, oh, this pear tastes like garlic. So this is the board that I use for bread and for fruit. And so I'm going to use this for my citrus. Let's do this on a Cara Cara orange. Okay. So what you do is you cut off both ends. Okay, and then let me just get a little trough. Also, think about the vessel in which you're going to serve this. Usually, you might think that this sort of thing would go in a bowl, but I like to put it in a glass, and you'll see why when I'm done. So I'm going to get a nice wide-mouthed glass. Now, we take off all of the skin of the fruit. So I'm trying to show you. It's a little difficult for me to see it at the same time. So you want to get off all the skin, leaving as much flesh intact as possible. Okay? So removing all the white pith. Put all of this in here. Flip this over, and then any bits that remain with your very sharp knife. This knife needs a sharpening. The honing is not enough. Take off any bits of white pith. Okay? So, this is what your citrus should look like. Nice and free of skin and pith. Now, this is where the knife has to be super sharp. You're going to cut in between the segments on either side of the skin that's holding each segment. You're going to make a diagonal cut that releases the segment, and you put that into your glass. And then you go on the, see this, here's the skin on this side, so I'm going to go on the other side of that skin. Again, this can only be done with a sharp knife. So you're cutting the segments free of the membrane that holds them in place. And what that does is it just creates a very luxurious, like, it's just the orange slice. There's no tough membrane. again. You do that to all the slices or all the segments of the orange, and you will be left with just the tough part of the orange in your hand. Once all the segments are in the cup, okay. Now this is what remains. And there is still so much juice in here. What Giggy would do, this is probably easier over a bowl, she would just squeeze it. She would squeeze it over the slices of the orange. And you'll see in the glass that it just fills up with juice. Now this is something that I do for myself. If this is how I feel like eating an orange, I'll do this. It takes some time, it takes work, but it is something that you just do for yourself and it feels luxurious. So you would serve this with a spoon, and then you eat it with a spoon. It's like a very fancy way of eating an orange. Because you're only eating the nicest part of the orange, you get to really enjoy just the flavor of the orange. This is something that's worthy of the time and effort at this time of year, when these beautiful citrus fruits are at their peak. Once you're done eating all the orange segments, guess what you do? You drink up the juice. There you have it. How I savor and enjoy citrus season during the depth of winter. Go out to your farmers markets or your grocery stores and just look around. Look at what's available and then try things out. Enjoy.